aunt on here. Like, how did you get on here? Hello, everyone. Hello. And thanks so much for tuning into my channel this week. This week I am going to hold the Q&A session that I have been promising for the past couple of weeks. But before I move into any of the cues that you wanted aid, you know what I'm going to do? If you have not already done so, please be sure to like this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. And please be sure to bell me if you want to get updates whenever I release new content. If you're interested in reading the questions for this, not the questions, but if you're interested in reading the answers for the questions for this particular video, you can definitely check those out on my blog at www.shikahenley.com. So just stay tuned and I'm going to jump into those questions. Okay, everyone, so let's go on to the first question. So the first question that I was asked is how did I start with consulting? And so it is actually, me becoming a consultant was actually born from that first video that I recorded. I know some of you have seen, some of you haven't seen, but it was just about who controls your professional fate. And that video was actually based on a blog I had written even months before I even recorded it, a blog I started and abandoned. And I legitimately I recorded the video because I was at a point in my career where I realized that I had a lot of work time left, and I was in a position where there were different things I wanted to explore in education, different things I wanted to do in education, and I just was not getting those opportunities, and I wasn't happy because I felt stagnant. And so it was just more born out of the idea of, okay, no one really controls my professional fate but me, and you know, there are things I like in education, there are ways that I feel like I would be the most effective, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just own those things. And so what I did was I just started the YouTube channel and I started the blog. So some people may remember the original blog. It was on Blogspot. And I was just like, I'm just gonna go ahead and start talking about education, things that I like. It was just really random things like, oh, these are some books I happen to have on my desk at work. Let me talk about these books. But it was just a means of me to start communicating about education, to get other people to see that I'm communicating about education, and to just try to create a brand for myself. So it was a thing I'm glad that I did. Like, it's very scary doing those things because once you're on social media, you're super vulnerable, because if you go viral kind of thing. You know, if somebody finds you, somebody finds you. And so some people can find me and think that I'm an idiot. Some people can find me and think that I'm a genius. So I have, you know, you don't have any control over that. But it was just kind of owning, like, I needed to get myself out there and just start talking about education. So that was like really the initial move that I made, because that was a thing that I could control. And as I started doing that, I started thinking more and more about what being a consultant was, the kinds of things that I wanted to do, the things that I wanted to accomplish as a consultant, and like those were kind of those initial moves. So what I wound up doing, how I wound up getting my first client, which is the client that I talk about most often in my videos, was I actually applied for a job with her company for the summer, but I wound up getting a full-time position that started in the summer, so I wasn't able to work for her. But I told her that I still really liked what she was doing with her organization, and I would love to support her because it was a very young organization, and she definitely needed the support from an ed consultant, something that somebody could provide for her. So that was how I was able to get that first client. So it was just kind of like, I opened my mouth about it. I was like, well, this isn't something I can do. I can't work as a summer teacher for you, but I can definitely help you kind of with just organize what your trajectory is going to be and what you're thinking about, like what do you think instruction should look like. And so that was how I slowly began just jumping into the consultancy. And so through that relationship with her, I've been able to just kind of start really defining what my work should look like and what it is that I want to do. And this actually kind of speaks to the next thing. I also started remarketing myself as a consultant. Some people are like really like, oh, I want to be a consultant, that's what I want to do. But if you look at their LinkedIn, it still says all of the stuff, you have to pardon me, they're bugs. It still says all of the stuff that you're doing for like your standard 9 to 5. And I respect that. 9 to 5 is how you pay your bills until your company is what's paying the bills. but you really need to kind of rework your brand to highlight the things that you want to do. So at this point, if you were to look at if you do look at my LinkedIn, right, it is going to encompass all the things that I want to highlight as a thing I would be able to offer as a consultant, not just all of the random things that I can do at work. So I could definitely make my LinkedIn reflect me as an English teacher, because that's really what my trade is. I'm an English teacher initially. That was what I was first. But there are so many other things that I do that are things that would fall under what a consultant would offer. So another thing I would just kind of recommend is start rebranding yourself so that you appear to be a consultant, and but you do these things, you just aren't highlighting those things on your resume or your LinkedIn. Let's see, and there was one more thing that I did want to highlight, I think. Yes. And so the other thing that I wanted to talk about was I opened my mouth about what it is I want to do, and I'll say this in a couple more answers, I'm sure, but I was vocal about what it is that I wanted to do, and that was a thing that helped me kind of shift gears by saying, yeah, I'm a consultant, selling myself as a consultant. I have cards made, I have all these things, so people are like, okay. And so what I've noticed is it's a slow and steady, but it's slowly starting to pick up. There are other things that I know that I need to do that are important. So I'm definitely looking into getting speaking engagements and those kinds of things going, because that's how you really pick up your momentum as a consultant. But I also recognize that it's a slow and steady. I did not win the lottery and could just quit my job and just start a business and see how it goes. I'm building a business while I still have to work a job to sustain me, so that eventually my businesses will sustain me, right? So that is kind of the story of how I started the consultancy. There were, of course, there were some technical things about registering your name and all those other things, but what it really did start with was just the notion of this is something that I want to do, and shifting myself and marketing myself as a consultant versus marketing myself as just an English teacher or a department chair. It was just these are things that I'm really good at that you would need as an ed consultant, and really speaking about myself in that way. And so now the transition has come, and I am an instructional coach. I am a consultant. Those are things that I can offer you. And it really just came because I decided that's how I'm marketing myself, and this is what I'm about to do. Okay, so somebody asked me to do a video on the GRE. And I had to be really honest. I had to ask people about the GRE, because I'm going to be super honest. I purposely only applied to programs that did not require the GRE. I was like, I am not about that GRE life. And there are programs that you don't necessarily have to take the GRE, and they'll have other tests for you to take instead. But those cicadas just got super loud right now. But I'll talk over them. But I just did not want to take the GRE. It was the thing that I didn't want to take. But I did consult with a friend of mine who has taken the GRE, and we kind of just talked about what that meant. So we kind of talked about the fact that if you are taking, in my instance, in my situation, I have all of my degrees are in education. It's just kind of what I've been doing. I've just been building upon it. And he was like, you don't really need the GRE, because everything you're doing is in education. You aren't shifting from one thing to something that's totally different. So you don't have to prove a different kind of knowledge base, because you have it. You have these degrees, you have to prove you have it with work experience. But they're just super loud. These cicadas are. I don't know if you have cicadas where you guys are, but they're loud. But one thing that he did point out, because I asked him, I was like, oh, when did you take the GRE? And he was just like, I took it right out of undergrad. So I think when thinking about the GRE, based on what he said, I would recommend that you kind of just take it when everything is fresh in your mind, right out of undergrad. Knock that out, because the scores are good for 10 years, and then you can kind of do whatever you want to do. Because I've never recommended to people who are coming right out of undergrad to go right into grad school. I just personally, that's just my opinion about it. I feel like you need to work a little bit to get a better idea of what it is that you want to do, because there's nothing worse than a wasted master's degree. And so that way you at least have the scores. You're fresh out of school. You're still in the swing of things. And it's not like you've been out of school for 5 years and then you're like, crap, I got to take the GRE. So that is kind of where I am with that. So I'm sorry. I just I didn't want to take it. I didn't want to take it. So all my programs did not require it. But if I would have wanted to like be a doctor or something, I'm sure I would have had to taken it because I have no background in science at all. So I would probably need to prove, you know, that I am, you know, ready for that. But is that the GRE or is that the MCAT? I'm gonna check it, so it's gonna show up in here. But I know there are different things to different things. Yeah, the MCAT and the LSATs, and they're all. But anyway, they're all these tests, right? But I was not taking the program that specialized. So you know, that's kind of that with the GRE. Okay, so going on to the next question. Okay, so this question has to do about kind of habits, study habits. So this person writes in that she says, I have a full-time job, 2 kids, cannot do the all-nighters, the late nights like you used to do in undergrad. What are some things that she can do to use her evening hours and weekends wisely? And then what would I suggest as a good study routine? Okay, so these are some of the things that I suggest. So I do point out that being in grad school, working, like adulting, doing all of that stuff, it's challenging. And what really gets you through is knowing that there's an end in sight. Like it's not forever and that it is going to be useful when it's all said and done. But it is a challenge. Like, you know, I make lots of videos, and I think I make so many videos about it because I know I'm constantly trying to get myself organized. I know that other people like me trying to do it. So it's just to own that it is a challenge, and it's okay knowing that it is a challenge, right? And owning that, so not going in like, oh, this won't be difficult. It will be, and you won't be perfect, but that's okay. So the first thing is to take advantage of every single minute. Every minute is a workable minute. So there is actually, I posted a picture on my Instagram. It is me getting my nails done and doing homework. Anyone who knows me knows that I am really, really serious about my nails. I get my nails done every other week. I've been doing it for 15 years. It just is what it is. And for whatever reason, my homework is always due on nail day. Always. It's just how it is. So what I wind up doing, like there's a picture of me just doing my homework there. I always am doing my homework when I'm getting my nails done. Like if this is a pedicure, I'm sitting there and I'm working while I'm getting my pedicure done. So you just kind of have to realize all of your time is something that can be used to do other work. When I was teaching, prep periods is when I worked. You know, if you have a lunch hour, that means you have a reading hour. Like all of those things, you just have to utilize all of your minutes and take advantage of them. Things that may seem like downtime aren't. Like I have literally been doing homework on road trips. I've submitted things when I was in the car, on my phone. You have to take advantage of all of those minutes that you have that you don't realize are minutes that you actually have in your day. Which leads me to the next thing, which is to utilize all of your technology, which some people do, some people don't. I completely utilize every piece of technology that I have. So I have the trifecta, which is what I call it. So I have the iPhone, you know, I'm an Apple person, right? Wherever I go, you know, I have my iPad, I have my computer, like I always have something. So I'm always able to work. Things are accessible to me that way. And then I've also shifted over, like I was an English major first. I love to read, that's just who I am. I love books. I have books everywhere, but I've realized, like, dude, I'm not carrying these books around with me because they're heavy and it's cumbersome. But if I have a book that can be offered, if it's something I can download on my Kindle app, you better believe I'm downloading it. Like anything that's a PDF, I'm making sure all that stuff is something that I can just store on my iPad so that when I'm out, I can read wherever I need to read. If it's in the Kindle, I can highlight, take notes, and do all those other things. But you really have to kind of take advantage of that. And I know we love to have books and we love to read and touch them and all of that, but when you are really busy and you have a lot to do, sometimes it's just more convenient. It just is what it is. It's more convenient. Another thing I utilize like Google, the Drive. I utilize any cloud that I can. So I always have access to work and to assignments. So I don't need to be at my computer to get them done. I just need to have access to some sort of tool that has access to the drive, or access. So if you have like Apple products, like all of your things will sync on Pages, but I'd even shift more from that into the drive, because that means I can work on anything, anywhere, as long as I have access to my drive. That's just one thing that I suggest, making sure things are super accessible so that you can work on things anytime, anywhere, if it's necessary. And then the last thing I'm going to say is to really preemptively strike. So to really make sure you are looking through your syllabus, when you get that syllabus, and you just really determine, like, okay, this class is X weeks. So like, for example, in my program, classes are 8 weeks. So I have 8 weeks. My final product, like, these are things that'll throw me off. My final assignment won't be due on the Sunday of the last day of class. It'll be due on Wednesday or on Thursday for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but those are things that I just need to know and be prepared for. I need to know what my readings are going to be. I need to know the kinds of readings so I can just prepare. How long am I really going to need to read? Will I be able to get all these knocked out in a lunch hour? Or am I going to have to wake up early to do it? Or am I going to have to, is it something I can kind of break into pieces and still make sense of? Because some things you need to read in one whop, you don't really understand. But it's really owning what your assignments are going to be and making a plan for it and sticking to that plan. Because there really is no room to like let something fall by the wayside. Like, I think I always say is don't fall behind. And it's true, like, don't fall behind. Like, I work a full-time job. I do not have any children, so that's one thing I can say. Like, I have much more availability in that way. But there's so many things going on in my life that if I fall behind in grad school, I don't really know how I would catch up, because work does not stop moving. Life does not stop moving. Chica Henley Educational Consulting does not stop moving. I have to keep everything moving. So just to kind of be prepared for those things. Okay, so this question is, how do I transition out of teaching? I feel like that's like $1 million question for a lot of people. Like, how do I transition out of teaching? And not in a how do I transition out to teaching to another field altogether. That is not what this is. But there are many people who have gone and they are certified to be administrators and all these other things, and they don't know how to transition out of that classroom role and into a teacher leader role, to, ultimately some sort of a formal leadership role. So one of the things that I always highlight is really being vocal about what it is that you want professionally. So like I mentioned in the first response, like, I knew that there was something that I wanted for myself, and I knew I had to kind of take ownership of those things. So in being vocal, there are some things that you kind of have to do for yourself first, which I think a lot of people struggle with, and I find they kind of project their fear and things onto you. So the first thing that I would say is to, number one, you have to let that fear go, because people are super afraid. People are like, oh my God, if I tell somebody that I want to be an administrator, if I want to be a this, I want to be a coach somewhere, I'm going to lose my job, or blah, blah. You have to let that go, okay? You have a degree, you have a skill set, you will be able to find work, okay? Unless you were one of those people who know you've been out of work for 10-year intervals or something like that, you'll find a job. It's okay. You cannot let somebody control those things for you. It's just kind of owning that you will be okay. You'll be okay. And that in itself is liberating. Because even as, like I tell people, when I switch my positions, I left from the primary district here and shifted into a smaller, like into charter, which is what I did. So a lot of people were afraid for me. Oh my God, you want to do that? You want to let this go? You got all this time? And I'm just like, you know what? I mean, yeah, I've invested all this time, but there are things that I want to do. And if I know that I can't do them here, why am I staying here? Like, what am I afraid of? The only thing that I have to fear is just being unhappy. So just go ahead and make that move. Number two is you have skill sets, and I think that sometimes that's the thing that people forget. Like, you have a ton of skills, and it's not just the one singular thing that you think you can do as a teacher, as an English teacher, or whatever it is. You need to figure out what your skills are, and you need to start marketing yourself. Like, okay, I'm really good at doing XYZ. Let me market myself in doing XYZ. Like, I am an English teacher by trade, which is what I always say. That's the first thing that I did. But honestly, I'm really good at curriculum planning and mapping and unpacking standards, doing those things. that is a skill set that lots of people, need to utilize, and they will gladly take you on board to help other people learn how to do that. But you just have to realize, like, wait, what are the things I really do well? And it's not necessarily just this one singular thing I thought I was good at. Um, and the third thing was I was very vocal about what I wanted for myself. Like once you let go of that fear, then you're vocal. Like I was really quick to say, like, you know what, like this is not exactly what I want to do. I know there are other things that I want to do, and so this actually leads to a story that I have, which is what started everything for me. I had an old boss who called me to his office, and he was just like, he had heard I was looking for a new position, and I told him, I just said, and I said, you know what, I've been working X years, and I never had the intention of dying at my desk teaching high school English. That's what I told him. And he thought it was really funny, and it is funny to say, but it's true. I was like, I didn't intend on being that teacher. Some people do, which is cool, but I didn't intend on being an English teacher for 40 years. That wasn't what I wanted. I was doing lots of things. There were other things I realized I wanted to do, things I wanted to do in education, and I was like, I'm not going to do those things. And so if this is not a thing that I can get here, then I'm going to find a way to do these things. And so in being vocal, like in some cases people are put off by that, and in some cases they aren't. So in this situation, in me being vocal, that particular principal is just like, okay, well, let's see what can we do to help support you so that you are getting what it is that you want. And that position, that one statement, that one incident was what put me in a position where I became more of a teacher leader, and I started that slow trajectory out of the classroom. But it was just because I had to tell the truth. I was like, look, this is really what I want for myself, and this is how I want to get there for myself. And then the fourth thing, the last thing I have here, is I also began looking for internships, just fellowships, things to help me become more marketable. And I find that people kind of pigeonhole themselves again. They're like, I did this program, somebody should just hand me something. And it just doesn't work that way. So it's like, you need to look. There are tons of fellowships for people who are in education. There are fellowships for people who want to start schools, fellowships for people who just want to work very specific. Like I want to work in urban areas or in rural areas with high percentages of students of color or whatever. Like there are all these fellowships to help you do these things. You need to start looking for them, seeking them out, and applying for them. And in me applying for one of those, that was actually what put me in a position where I have the role that I have now. So you have to really make yourself super marketable and just kind of own the power that you have, because yes, there are going to be some people who are just like in that trajectory, and somebody's like, oh, I think you're awesome, and then they kind of recommend them for this and recommend them for that, and that's how things happen for them. But then I always kind of felt like a person who's like, okay, I got to really make a name for myself. So you got to start creating a name for yourself, and creating this. Coco is here. Coco is here. And creating the space for yourself to do more things. Okay. So good luck to you. Coco says good luck. I had to pick her up because she was barking at the cats. Okay, next question. How do you balance a work life, so that 9 to 5, with running a business and keeping your personal life together? So this one, I was like, haha, I don't have any free time. So that's what I really thought. But ironically, when I was answering this question, one of my girlfriends was over, who's also in the same position of small business owner. She works a regular 9 to 5, and she probably has the most extensive social life I've ever known of a human being. so I was kind of asking the question, and I was like, what do you think? And so we really started talking about it, and she was like, which is a truthful thing. You don't separate those things. She was like, you kind of put them all together. You make sure they all kind of blend, and that's what she said, which is true. And so even with us, so we were using our time together today. We were going to go ride bikes because that's what happened. A hobby that I picked up, she's training for a triathlon, and so it was like, okay, well, I still need to ride this bike, so why don't you come along with me? So there was time for us to ride bikes. There was time for her to do her practice. There was time for us to sit down and talk, and we'll, have lunch and everything. But that was a means of getting that done. And even a thing that is very typical of teachers, like we have grading parties and planning parties. When you get together with a friend and you say, why don't you bring your stuff over here? I'll make some lunch or something. We'll sit and, you talk. and then you get work done. So it really is just like blending all of those things. Because one thing that we both realized was I can't really point out a time where I feel like I just have downtime, I'm not doing anything. I'm always doing something, but it is true. You're always kind of combining all of these things together, so they're all happening simultaneously, so that way you still have your peace of mind. So our recommendation is to just know that you need to blend those things. They should not all be separate things. You know, if you're going on a business trip, which I have another friend who does it, if you go on a business trip and you know you were at this conference from this hour to this hour, you might say, oh, why don't you come out and this weekend I'll be here over the weekend and we can hang out. And so you're still working, but then you still have your time where you're still being social. So it's just how do I blend all of these things together. So blending is the key, just like with makeup. Blend until you can't tell I have all this stuff on my cheek. Blend it. Okay, so I have another viewer who is asking about how to balance, like when you have internships or what are they called, the field placements? How do you balance that and schoolwork to make sure that you aren't necessarily neglecting one thing for the other? And so I really have to think about this, especially like my last field placement was a long time ago. But as someone who's kind of now I've worked more, this is just my recommendation for you with that. What I suggest is, like, there's like music in the background now. It is Labor Day weekend, so it's like barbecues and all kinds of fun stuff happening. What I recommend is to, number one, make sure you have your end goal in mind at all times. Because sometimes things become difficult to manage when you see them as separate entities. And I kind of view this as grad school and work, how that goes. And so you're thinking, oh, I have all this homework to do and I have this job to do. But what you need to do is just make those two things mix. So legitimately, when I'm doing homework now, my homework is really based on what I'm doing at work. Everything is based on what I'm doing at work, the experiences I'm having at work. Like, I relate everything. And so that way, it doesn't feel like I'm doing double work. And all of the work that I'm doing is ultimately going to help me get to whatever my overall end goal is. So I do recommend that if you're in your field placement, just making sure that as you're in your field placement, you have your own goals in mind, so you're getting what you need to get out of it and not what somebody else wants you to get out of it. And everything that you're doing, because ultimately that's what everything is for. Like, school, getting a degree is not for your professor. Finishing this field placement is not to help somebody else reach their goal. It's so that you can get the experience you need, you can learn what you need to learn, so that you can do what it is you need to do. So you need to know what that goal is and exactly how you're going to get there to get that done. And that will kind of make things not seem like they're just like separate things, but they are, all working together for one common goal. Let's see. And then the last thing that I have, which I definitely talked about videos about this, is, which actually is earlier in this video, but it's also utilizing your free time and you have work to do. And it's like that first response that I had about how am I going to manage all my time, making things really readily available, making sure you have different means to get work done, making sure you're taking advantage of all of your free time, so that you can kind of create a schedule and stick to it. Because in real life, and the thing that I really have to reiterate is, when we're in grad school, it's busy. We don't have as much free time to do as many things. And just kind of owning that's what it is, but knowing that it'll end. You won't be in grad school for 20 years. Grad school programs are like 2 years, the most, right? So just kind of owning that those programs are short, and that you just have to kind of hustle through them and kind of use all that free time so that you can knock everything out. Okay, so thanks so much for tuning into this Q&A video. Thank you so much to all of you who asked questions. Thanks so much to all of you who are subscribers, who are reading the blog and just keeping up with me and also encouraging me. I find that so many people are encouraging me in my journey. I wish all of you the best of luck in everything that you're doing. And I know that if you stay positive and that you look at things with a positive light, that things will definitely work out to your advantage, because that's always how those things go. If you like this video, please be sure to click like. If you have not already done so, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you have not hit the bell, bell me. And if you want to read the answers to this particular video, because I have written all the answers out, you can check that out on my website at www.shikahenley.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you, and I will be back next week with a new video for you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Coco says goodbye, and thanks for tuning in. Bye, everybody. Okay, so the biggest thing about recording outside I didn't realize was that Coco loves to chase the cats in the alley and bark at them loudly. So I thought the cicadas were really going to be the issue because they are loud, but nothing is quite as loud as my little tiny dog barking at cats in the alley. So she's now on my lap. So hopefully we got this together. Okay, Coco. Coco, you gotta look at the camera. Look at the camera. Okay. It's that. I'm like in the jungle. I just want you to know I'm in the jungle out here. I was like, it's gonna be such a good idea. I'm gonna record outside. There's been an ant crawling on my cell phone for the entire 30 minutes. And now there's something on my mic. I don't know what kind of bug that is. Coco, what is that? Okay, it just flew away really quickly. Okay, we're gonna go inside because it is just getting scary out here. I'll see you next time.